to Gotta Be Me podcast. We're so happy to be here again with you today. We're your hosts. My name is Sophia. This is my cousin Peyton, and this is my sister Camille.
Welcome back to our channel, everybody. If you're new here, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll appreciate it so very much.
We are so excited to have Anaya and Samantha back on the show. It's been over a year since we had them.
It has.
We're so excited to have them back. So we all got together and said, let's talk about this movie Sinners because, well, first of all, I hadn't even seen it. And these girls went and saw it without me when I was on my wedding trip, which it was worth missing out. It was worth it. It was 100% worth it. But when I came back, it's like, I want to see this movie. And Anaya's like, you haven't seen the movie? All right, we're all going. So how many, was there like 10 of us girls?
Yeah, it was 10.
And my husband.
Yeah. It was literally all of us.
I was like so tickled that he came still. And we like filled up a whole row at the theater and we watched Sinners. And I was kind of scared. I can't lie. Like I kept noticing that I was like squeezing in.
The first time we were all like clenched up. Like at the end, we're like,
it was not scary.
Okay,
oh my
but
gosh.
listen, but we haven't watched that much horror.
Yeah,
that's
true. That's better.
Yeah.
So for us, it was like, it was. I was nervous.
But it was more interesting than scary. Like there was so much you could get from it. So like the scary was like.
And that's why we should talk about it. Okay, so before we get into all of that, a little disclaimer. I know that there's a lot of Christians who that movie made feel nervous. And there may even be some in our comment sections that were like, that are not our comment section, but just our followers or those who view us who feel like, I wouldn't watch that. It's dangerous because of like all the spirits.
The voodoo
and the
aspect.
Yeah, the things it talks about. And I do want to acknowledge that spirits are dangerous, spirits are tricky, and they will take any opportunity to try to jump on you, to try to get inside you, to try to work on you, to try to possess you, to try to talk to you. And I do think there's a place to be careful. And you know what? You know what you can handle, or the Lord can help you know what you can handle, your ministry. And if you can't handle something like that, then that's, how you feel about it. And I think you're totally entitled to that. But I do believe that there is a certain aspect to spirits that you have to let them in. You have to be open to those spirits. You have to be willing for them to be able to get in and work on you. And I feel like,
that's
personally,
part of what made the movie so good, though, is how they portrayed that.
Right, and they even show that in the movie, right? Yeah, that's true. And I feel like, personally, and I think these other girls do too, that we're strong enough in our Christian walk that those, even though we enjoyed the movie, we feel like we got a lot out of it, we're glad we watched it, we didn't feel like those spirits starting to draw on us or work on us. And that's just personally how we feel about it.
We didn't turn into cornbread.
We didn't turn into cornbread, even though Samantha loves them.
Yeah, shout out to cornbread. Samantha's favorite.
I'm not gonna lie. I definitely was one of the people who were like scared to see it. Like really? I didn't really like when it like first started circling. I were seeing friends and stuff posting it a whole bunch. I'm like Sinners. The first time I heard it, I was like, oh no, I'm not watching that.
Well, the name, right?
Yeah, I was like, no, I'm not going to see that.
And the cover looks
terrible. Like I didn't like actually take the time to like study the cover. Mm-hmm. Like you don't really understand what the cover is until you see it. Like
and it just looks like flames. And...
Yeah, so I was like, I'm not going to see that, and like it was a no-brainer. Mm-hmm. I forget what made me actually like want to sit down and watch it, but I think so many people were just talking about it, and so many of my friends were like, Anaya, like, you have to see this. And I was like, you know what? Like, I really, like, sat and thought about it, and I'm like, why am I scared of this? Like, why am I worried about this or whatever? So I really, like, gave it time, and I feel like maybe, like, a couple years ago, it probably wouldn't have been a good idea for me to go see it, but I feel like where I am now, it was a good place. Like, I don't, like you said, you have to invite the spirit in. I didn't know that before. Like, I felt like they were just, like, waiting to jump on you, and then you just, like, had to surrender control. Like, now that I understand, like, how those things work, like, I was more willing, and I went with my family the first time. Mm-hmm. And my dad
and that helps to have, like, yeah, it is a good movie to watch with your dad or, somebody that you feel like is your spiritual father or even just your father. Like,
or that can filter it for you.
Yeah.
And help you, like, organize your feelings about it in your mind and
talk it out.
Specifically for y'all, I was actually really surprised when y'all told me that y'all watched it and that y'all were willing to watch. I thought y'all would never. Like, once y'all were like, oh my gosh, like, we gotta go see it again. I was like, oh, maybe it's okay.
Well, because I think there's such a message to it. Like, I don't think it's a movie to just watch lightly. Like, it's not just for entertainment. Of course, we were entertained. It's amazing production, amazing videography, amazing acting, amazing music, all that. But it's not, he did. But it's not just for entertainment purposes. There's to me, there's so many messages in it. And TikTok, IG, YouTube, all of it. Everybody's talking about it. So there's all kinds of opinions. People are probably getting messages out of it that Ryan Coogler never even intended to portray.
But that's the beauty of
art, right?
of art.
You get what you how you like, yeah.
And I remember talking about this fact with somebody. I didn't even really know like Ryan Coogler's name before. Like I didn't know he made Black Panther and like I didn't know he did all that. And so I feel like there are movies that he made that like really pushed the movie and like made the movie and like the franchise itself big, like made Black Panther big, made things like that big. And then I feel like this movie specifically put eyes on him. So I feel like his other movies like were like I listened to someone break it down and they were like the first 3 movies that like a film artist makes and stuff. He's like, that's for the movie, that's for the franchise, that's for the people. He's like, but after you start getting into like between like 5 and 7 movies, he's like, people actually start looking at the creator, and that's where he's at. He's getting a lot of applause.
People are probably going back and looking at his old stuff. Too.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
where's this
When
man
people
been?
said Black Panther, I was like, he made Black. That makes so much sense. That makes so much sense.
Which was extra interesting for you all because y'all are interested in the film industry and all that. Like that's what y'all have your degrees in and all that.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't even know the man's name. Sorry to this man.
Yeah, him and Michael been working together for a long
Yes,
time.
I was just gonna say because you love Fruitville Station. I didn't know that was him.
Fruitville Station, Creed.
I loved Creed.
I actually haven't seen that much of Creed actually.
Really?
Yes, but Fruitville Station was your favorite movie for a long time.
It was.
And do you remember when we watched it at that summer program? What was it? I forget, but there was like a summer program at Southside.
Was it AIM?
There was a summer program
no?
like in our city, and then like
I think it was AIM.
yeah, it was AIM.
I think so.
I haven't seen it either, but I want to. And Black Panther was my favorite movie for a long time.
Was it?
Yeah, I love that movie.
How many are there? Are there 2 or 3?
2.
Black Panther and then Wakanda Forever and then that's it.
Okay, I thought there were 3. I
might have
like
missed one, but
the way it happened is really sad, but I like Shuri. Like I like her as the
Oh,
Loki.
she's like
I
my
love
favorite
it.
character
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
love her.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have a girl and her name is gonna be Letitia.
Is it really?
No, but I wish.
Oh, is it really?
I really like her a lot. I like the actress and I like her character. But we digress. I'm gonna go first. One of the main messages to me, like one of the main messages that I got, and this is like very broad, and I think there's so many things you can break it down to details and all that. But the thing that stuck out the most to me was how dangerous power is. So everybody's gifting has power, right? Like whatever you do, whatever you're good at, what you're called to do, what you're born to do, there's a power in that because you're good at it and it moves people and things. And in the movie, Sammy, he has the gift of music. Mm-hmm. And it's a beautiful thing because it connects him to his history and his future. It's like a prophetic thing, you know? When he plays, it said the veil between the living and the dead is like separated. And like people were, and it was beautiful because you had different nationalities there and the different people were connecting with their different heritages and cultures and, you know, everybody talks about that scene. It's beautiful. But his music also brought the vampires or like, I don't know, like, I can't say for sure, you know, what everything was and what Ryan Coogler all meant, but like, what's the main vampire's name?
Remick.
Yeah, Remick. Like, I don't even know if he's supposed to maybe be the devil or something analogous, but like, it brought evil too. And power's always like that. And when you are in a position of power, you're always one step away from evil.
Yeah.
And that was so interesting
it
to me.
It kind of has to be like that.
Yeah, you're always either you're evil or you're great. You're great for good or you're great for evil. But you're either way. I mean, power makes you great.
Music
but
is
you're
not,
right there.
Music is not bad in and of itself, right? Like it's a great gift. It's a gift from God, but
I don't think a lot of people talk about, or maybe they do. I just haven't seen a lot of people talk because like the main gift was like Sammy's music, but Annie had a gift too. Like hers was like working with spirits and like I don't specifically know what her gift was, but I know that she had one because she was like providing healing and protection over people. And I obviously
she did hoodoo, right? And that's another line.
But she dabbled.
Yeah, but I feel like that comes from a power like within that she had herself.
And that it's a gifting. And to me, I even listened to some podcasts that talk about like the history of hoodoo in America and how like They talk about like in Africa people practicing it, and they talked about how sometimes it was even connected. And I didn't agree with necessarily all the way that podcaster presented it, but like I believe that there were people who were Christians in Africa and understood how to use herbs and heal people. And he talked about that. He was saying how Christianity was connected to healing, and then they came to America, and then that was dangerous because it was power. Being able to heal people was power, so they forbade it. They said they labeled it as witchcraft, which I believe some of it can get into witchcraft, which is not good, right? So there's that line again. You have the power of healing. Well, are you gonna, for good? Because he talked about how you can use the herbs. You're not just using herbs. You're praying too, though. You're like giving them herbs and being like, Lord, help this. Like that's a beautiful thing. Or are you gonna get into like the spirits, like the darker side of it? That's like not good, like conjuring and all that.
I think they did good focusing on everyone's gift. Like the whole movie through, they're drawing like these people own this store and they were good at bargaining and they got this from them. And this man, like he was stood on the corner. He did the harmonica and he had to get him, and like they grabbed little Sammy from over here.
The
grabbed,
person who cooked
cornbread. You're gonna stand at the door and God, we know you can keep it safe. And they knew what people were good at.
Who to get for what?
They had to bring all that. And it kind of like climaxed. Like there was a pinnacle, and at the pinnacle of each person's power is when the evil came. I'm not saying that.
Which is a beautiful. Well, okay, and that shows smoke.
I think that at the pinnacle of everyone's power, either amazing good can happen or devastating
scary evil. And the temptation is super strong. I love that what you just said shows Smoke and Stack's gift. They bring people together. Unity is what we always need and want, and they were doing that. They brought a whole community of people together, and when everybody was together, there it was again, them being tempted to evil, or it's like that paradox. And then I've heard people talk about the paradox, like that the twins represent being like blue and red in their opposite personalities, and that the whole movie is kind of like that, and it seems true.
Just
like
the
you can
evil
find
and the good and balance there. I thought it was interesting the way religion played into it too. I never really figured out what I really thought about it, but I thought it was interesting because his dad at the beginning was trying to kind of make him give up his music. And I really struggled with that because I was like, well, when you're a Christian, do you have to give up your gift? Like, that's what he was good at. And
I have that written down too.
I was like, was his dad wrong? Was he wrong? Did he have to give it up? And that's something I kind of struggled with, like thinking about, like sometimes religion can make people feel like they can't use what they have, but religion shouldn't be that way. Right. And I know that God does sometimes require us to give things up, and then you can regain them afterwards.
That's what I think. I think, especially for someone like Sammy who had used it and it had turned out badly for him,
and
God
might
kind of require
that
of him, and then God gives it back to you. God just needs to see that you're willing to give it to him. Basically, in other words, use the gift for him.
And the other thing that I noticed was just the building that they were meeting in, the history of it. Like, it wasn't a good place. So what they were built on, what their entire establishment was built on, was a KKK slaughterhouse.
Yeah. So how good could it really be?
So how good could that have turned out?
Right. Like, you're just building yourself on a foundation of things that aren't good. They bought it with stolen money. They bought it on land that was bloodstained. And then they started playing that music where they knew it could go south.
On a bad note too.
He did.
Yeah, he left disobeying his father.
But like the movie starts out with him kind of like in a crisis moment. Like his dad told him to read the scripture, and he closed the Bible. He's like, and he just started quoting it from
like he grew up like this.
Like he knew what it said already.
It didn't mean anything to him anymore, you know, until he needed it in the river.
Yeah. All he kept saying at the beginning was like, I remember he was like talking to his dad, and he was like, I just want to get away from all this for one day. Well, like, what exactly are you trying to get away from?
But the thing is, like, you can look at it that way, like, oh, he's just trying to get away from church, or maybe church was not the answer at that moment. Like, obviously, God is always the answer, right? But sometimes if you get too religious, it can turn into a form.
Too religious and not enough God.
Right, right. It's not like you can get too much of God. But if it just becomes a tradition.
In a form rather than the spirit.
And Sammy, it had become that to Sammy. Maybe it wasn't to everyone else, but to Sammy, it probably was good for him to leave because it wasn't like, he wasn't in touch with God anymore at that point. He needed something to happen to wake him up.
And that's so that happens like in today's time. Like, people get caught up in like like we call it like playing church. And so like when you go through something or you're struggling or like I feel like every young person at some point disconnects from from the church organization.
Especially if they were raised in it.
Yeah, yes, especially if you're raised in it because it's like okay, like can I like experience something else? And so when like that happens, I feel like a lot of elders and a lot of adults don't know how to handle it, and they're trying to protect their child that they're not actually listening to the child and listening to like what they're going through, even though I'm pretty sure most of them went through the same thing. And like so they'll like be like I've been through this before, but like you're still not attacking the issue. Like it's not that I really feel like they're just trying to run away from God. I feel like it's just I don't know. I think it's just I don't really know what to call it, but it's just a phase that a lot of us go through. Like you said, especially if we like start that way. And I feel like there's just a certain way that you have to handle it that isn't, oh, we'll just pray. Oh, we'll just like, yes, you need to do those things. But I feel like.
Well, it's a time to give the child understanding.
Yeah.
Because you raise this way, but that doesn't mean you know why. And you start to get to that question and you're like, wait, why am I doing this? Why am I here? Why do I go to church? What am I even doing? So instead of just like, yeah, like you said, I think some people make the wrong decision and discipline the child or rebuke the child or tell the child, well, go to church anyway. And instead of being like, okay, well, let's have a conversation. Talk about why they go. Help the child think it through. Okay, let's talk about this. Why would you go to church? Well, why wouldn't you go to church? Let's have an open conversation instead of just like demanding things. It happens even without church. Children get to a certain age and they need to start understanding, and then some parents know how to walk them through it, some don't. But yeah, for sure.
What was your favorite part, Samantha?
I have a few favorite parts.
What's your favorite quote, Amanda?
What's your favorite character, Samantha?
Okay, calm down.
What's the girl's name? I'm gonna ask her the question so she can respond to me. Are you Lisa?
Guilty as Sean.
That's Amanda's favorite
Yeah,
part. Okay.
that was one of my favorites. I like Cornbread. That was my favorite character. And I like when the vampires was at the door singing, even though it was evil, They was trying to come in and tear up the whole place, but
In the theater, you're like, when they were like whispering while he was trying to pee, you're like, Cornbread, go get that.
oh yeah, so like when Cornbread was outside trying to use the bathroom, like they were out there like plotting on him basically, and they was like, Cornbread, go get that cornbread. And then he's sitting there, using the bathroom, and then next thing you know, he's done.
He come back all crazy.
He's like, let me.
His fake walking in.
Yeah. Trying to trick them.
Who's everybody's favorite character? Because yours is Cornbread. What's yours?
Miles. Yeah, Sammy.
Probably
really like-
Smoke.
Smoke?
If I had, I haven't committed.
You know what? I haven't either.
I would say maybe Stack, but
but
that's so generic.
No, I don't think
Well,
so.
not
I
really.
feel like they have. I think they have.
I
different
really
qualities.
liked Cornbread when I first watched it too, but I don't know
Yeah.
who's my favorite. Like, of course, Sammy. Like, I can listen to his voice all day long.
Oh, yeah.
His
No,
voice.
yeah, facts.
I cannot wait to see what that child does with his music career.
Yeah. He has a really good
He
voice.
has-
But she's been singing for a long time. You seen her on Steve Harvey show and everything?
No,
when he
but
was little.
I saw that he toured with like
Her.
her.
She hooked him
years
up with
ago.
the job.
Years
She
ago.
sang backup vocals for her when she
It's
went on
always the
tour last year.
backups. The backups,
Yeah,
they
the
come to
backups
the
And
they
front.
come out of nowhere.
They be
come out
coming
of
to the
nowhere.
front.
Yeah,
I like that.
He
I
can
like
sing
that.
for real.
His voice is so beautiful.
Yeah.
It is. It really is.
Miles. I love you.
Yeah.
I think my favorite character. I think my favorite character would be Smoke, but I think I relate the most to Miles.
Miles is very relatable.
Yes.
Another thing that I found relatable in like the whole story, like when everything was going down and everyone was fighting, and how like to set each other free, they kind of had to kill each other, And I like the one person he couldn't kill was his brother,
Yeah.
And I just thought that was interesting because oftentimes the people that are closest to you that it's hardest to actually do the right
Tell the
thing
truth
by,
to, or
and I think that, and watching him just almost like fight himself, it shows the people you're close to, and often the inner battle that you have with yourself to like choose right or choose wrong.
Is that what the brothers represent? Like two sides of a person?
That's what
feels like
I
it.
thought.
Pretty much.
I didn't even think of that. That's
Because
crazy.
they're like twins, so they basically reflect each other.
Yeah.
And then they're like, one is like really like,
and you could tell they're connected at
straightforward.
in their minds, the way they operate without even.
And one's more cool, one's more analytical, one's more smooth. But then at the end, when they're fighting each other, it's just like,
someone was saying how they both internalize their trauma differently. So like, Smoke internalizes it more, and like, he just keeps cool front. He's very
Well, Smoke
and
killed
Stack
his
just
dad.
kinda-
He had to handle business.
He did.
He had to do what he had to do.
And Stack
So
just,
his-
He
kind of
laughs
plays it off, laughs it off, tries to, just go through life, not
Thinking about it.
too much,
You know what? I saw someone else talking about the movie, and I hadn't thought of it like this, but it was neat. You know how Smoke tried to protect Stack all his life, and that's like what broke his heart in the end, that he couldn't protect him from the vampires. But at the end, he also couldn't kill him. They said that when he came back and shot the KKK, he wasn't just killing to kill.
He
said,
protecting Stack.
Yeah, that
'cause he was
Stack and
still
Haley
there.
were probably in the building. That's why the doors were all locked. They were hiding from the sun, and that Smoke wasn't going to let them get to
Well,
Stack.
that's interesting.
Yeah,
He was
I've
probably
seen
really
something like
tired
that,
too. Like when the scene where Annie comes back and like it's his baby. He had been through
He looks
war. He had like
exhausted.
Yes,
like
he
he like
does.
obviously they've been doing all the things in Chicago like, and after that like he was probably just ready at that point. Like
Yeah.
he was probably just ready to be with his girl and his baby and just. Which is
Did
so
you
sad.
notice? Okay, somebody else. This wasn't me either. Somebody else talking about it. But did you notice how she said, "Elijah, put up that cigarette so you don't get smoke
on
on my
her
baby,
yeah.
like on our baby."
That's
like
so
she didn't
cute.
even want him to be in his Smoke character. Like just put the cigarette out.
Let it
be
go.
Yourself.
Let the alter ego
let that
go.
go.
Yeah.
I like that. I
And
like
then you
that.
can come home.
Yeah. Oh.
Another part that I noticed in the second time I watched it, not the first. Well, okay, the first time, you know how eventually the vampires did get in the building? I was like, how did they get in? I couldn't
Yeah.
remember. Like, who invited them in?
Don't get
Because they
don't
could only
that girl gets on my nerves. She thought she was going out there saving the day.
Yeah, but her husband, they had got her husband, so she was not
She
in a
was-
mental state to like do anything. She just wanted revenge.
Okay,
right?
but 2 + 2
And-
= 4.
Right, but she was like, she couldn't think for herself very well at that
Well,
moment.
the reason she was going
like, I don't
insane
care,
is
I'm
because
gonna
she's thinking
go out
about
there and get
Lisa.
him. So she,
Yeah, she was trying to protect Lil Lisa.
That's
trying to
when she
protect her daughter.
panicked.
It was,
Yeah.
bro, she
But I
did
think
all
her
that.
spirit was okay though. Like I think she wanted the right thing. She didn't want the spirits to get her. She wanted them to get out. She wanted to take them out like now, not wait till the sun came
Yeah.
up. But what was
She
wrong with
didn't
that
want
is
him to
that
go
she
get
was
her,
trying
yeah.
to do it alone.
Yeah.
Yes, and but
know?
it makes me so irritated because she did all that just to throw some fire and catch herself on fire.
She did. She did.
She killed herself.
too much.
Both burned.
Which I feel like that was a representation of like rage. Like kind of your rage can kind of do that. Like when you
It can
operate.
consume you. You're
Yeah,
too
and so
angry.
I feel like that's kind of what they were going for. Like her fire consumed her, even though she was trying to do.
But maybe it
So,
would have been
but
the
I
right
don't know.
thing. Maybe it would have worked out if first they had talked
they had
about
made
it
a
together,
plan.
and
Yeah.
then Smoke, who was in charge, was like, "All right,
They need to listen to
let's
Smoke
set
and
up
Annie. Annie
and
was in
let's
charge
do
too.
this
Yeah,
together." Because a lot of times people see a problem, right? Like, something's wrong. We got to fix this. But then you try to go do it by yourself. That's not going to work. Like, it takes everybody. And that's the only... yeah. That's why the vampires were so successful.
They was
Because the three of them...
They was in
just the three of them,
tandem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they was
And they're
gonna pick.
but they were rallying
poor
around
Robin
that
Queen.
leader.
And they were patient. They were gonna wait there all night.
Oh,
if
yeah.
They had
They was
to.
gonna wait
They
there
was
all
not.
night.
They was not giving up. They was not giving up. I remember somebody was like, basically, if the vampires didn't get them, they were still gonna die in the morning because of the KKK. And at first, I was like, no. I was like, the fact that Smoke could take all of them out by himself, I was like, that would not overwhelm them.
But remember, he had
then,
forgotten the box.
Yes, they forgot the box, and they were like, somebody was like, it was a night of them being drunk. They would probably sleep. Like they were all like,
They
their
weren't
guards
alert.
were so low that they
Right.
probably would have. And so it was sad because they were gonna die that night regardless. So that's terrible.
There was doom. I mean, just the way
Yeah, it
the way they
was
only had
doom.
red for the sign lettering. Even it was
Oh,
like,
yes.
remember
I
that? She was like, I
forgot.
only got red. And
That's
Smoke's
crazy.
Like, that'll work.
Remember when Remick started quoting the scripture with Sammy?
Sammy, yeah.
As
like,
scripture says,
even
the
the
devils
devils
know
know.
and tremble.
Yeah, that one kind of...
What about the indigenous
give you
people at the
cold chills.
beginning that tried to give a
The way
warning?
they knew.
They were like,
They were operating in their
remember
gifting
the
too.
Choctaw people
No,
at the beginning?
Oh, and they
They were
said,
like,
"Don't
don't
let
let
this
him in your
man
house.
in."
There's a dangerous man coming
then
around
they
the
looked
corner.
and they saw the
right,
sun
they
going
came riding in
down.
on the horses and they're like, oh, we gotta go.
What? Oh, no, I know what you're
At
talking
the
about. I know what you're
beginning,
talking
and
about. Yep.
some people were talking about how the indigenous people always represented like having a lot of spiritual intuition, and being very in touch with nature and all those sorts of things, and how that's just a sign that like how differently could it have gone if we would listen right away when like the Holy Spirit talks to us or whatever.
That scene where he's
They're
like,
real-
where they get his like wife and like husband or whatever, and like he like rises up. I
That's
love that.
creeped me out
I
so
love that
bad.
scene because like
That
he
was
just
the
turns,
worst
he's
scene.
like, "Hey, baby."
That
I
was
was
the
like,
worst scene.
Oh, that creeps me out.
Because you
I
know
love
it's about to take a turn for the worse, and then it, like you just didn't know when.
What was
That
about
the
to
worst
happen,
part.
and then you come, and then there's the blood.
the music,
Yeah.
I love
Yeah,
how
it's the music.
was-
The music.
the
Yeah,
music
it's
tells
the
you.
music.
Yes, like,
It do
I
tell
love
you a
it. I
little
love
bit.
And why
it.
Remick fall from the sky anyway?
I
Did
know.
he?
Well, where did he? You
I felt
can't
like
tell. You can't tell. Also,
Yeah.
he just lands. He's burning. He's smoking.
Yeah, and it seemed like he like
like-
jumped over a camera, so it kind of looks like he kind of fell from the sky. So I feel like that like they're trying to represent
think
that,
that's what
but I thought he was just like running and jumping. Like I thought he was just kind of.
Being goofy.
He
Yeah,
might
I don't
have
got
been-
nothing else better to do.
I think they were trying
But
to
why
say
were the?
something
Well, I think they were like kind of like fall from
I
from
got
heaven. type
super
of thing.
mad when he flew. I was so mad. I was like, why can't he fly?
Stop. That moment when Haley walks away and you're like,
Yeah.
good for you, Haley. You're walking away.
Yes.
And then he's like,
And then he shoots up and
I'm like, bro.
She thought, got her,
Got him.
Yeah, no.
I found it very interesting that they took the one white woman
I did too.
to like invest, like to
did
like
too.
it go and trap everybody else.
I did
Like
too.
they didn't get just like
Yeah.
one of the boys, one of the brothers. Like they specifically got the only white woman in there to get everybody else.
And it was actually
That reminds me of Jordan Peele's movie Get Out.
Yes.
yes,
Yeah, a little
Bro,
bit.
people are talking about like Jordan Peele and Ryan Coogler, how they're just,
making
like,
a. What if they
put
did a
them
movie together?
Yeah. Somebody said something. I literally just saw it. What did they say? Somebody said Jordan Peele's movies will make you. I don't necessarily agree with this, but he's like, this is how you know which one's which. He's like, a Jordan Peele movie will make you feel ashamed to be white, and a Ryan Coogler movie will make you feel proud to be black.
Yes.
Which is a good distinction.
So he was like, that's
I mean-
how you like tell the difference. I was that.
Yes.
Is such an interesting way to break
That
it
That
down.
is interesting.
I want to think about that for a long time.
We're gonna be in bed tonight, like.
Listen though, it was an interesting dilemma to me too though, because Haley was actually technically black. Like she was white presenting, but she was black.
Well, her great something.
Yeah, they
Black.
said
Her
she had like
grandpa was
10%.
black.
An eighth. She was an
An
eighth.
eighth? Is that
A
the
grandparent was,
Hey.
and she said, "Well, it was interesting because Smoke or Stack or whoever. I'm too tired to try to say, but she wanted. But he was like, you go be with the white people because you can be, and like give her a white husband. She was like, I
I don't
didn't
want
want to
that.
be.
Yeah.
I wanted to be with y'all, but it was interesting.
Yeah, the whole thing.
I think
the
it was
whole
just really
dynamic is
historically
interesting
accurate.
because they were all kind of like, okay, Haley, but then when it got down to it, they were like, shut up, she's family.
Yeah.
But they still got her.
Well, she went out there. She thought
Because she said they're gonna talk more to me than they're gonna talk to you.
that's okay. Well, to me, that shows that she wasn't being realistic about who she was. Like, girl, stay inside.
They're gonna
You're
get
black.
you too.
You might not look black, but you are. They'll get you. And
They
she
got
thought,
They
I
didn't
look
get
black.
her.
I can handle this. You can't handle it. You need your family. Stay by your family. Stay by your people. But I don't know. Stack didn't want. I mean, Smoke didn't want her there,
No.
and that happened. And that's interesting too because it happens all the time in the black community.
She probably felt
you're
like
not
she had
really
to
black.
earn it. Maybe she was trying to go out there to earn her place. Like,
Maybe.
Maybe.
I didn't know that like Haley Steinfeld actually had. I think
She
like
actually is
Yeah.
same black as she is in the movie.
I didn't know that until like yesterday.
Her grandfather is half black, half Filipino.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
What is y'all favorite song like off the soundtrack?
Oh, I love the blues. But Daddy, I lied to you.
Mm-hmm.
I love the blues. I don't know what's that song called, but I love that song.
Travel.
That one is the one when they're in the car.
I like that.
Oh,
one.
okay. I remember
like
that
one.
Yeah.
The trouble.
He was like,
yeah.
Yeah. They make some money.
He knew. As soon as he
I like
started
that
singing,
song
he
too.
knew.
I see her probably started getting transported.
It's called I Lied to You. I lied to you. I listened to that song just by itself. I like that song.
I
that's
listened
a
to
good
the
song.
last one.
The Rod Wave song?
No,
No.
not that
That's
one.
my
That's
favorite.
I
hers.
haven't seen the
That's your
sun.
favorite. Oh, would you just love Rod Wave though?
That's
love
why.
it.
That's
song-
what interested me in the movie in the first
Yeah,
place.
when it played at the end, we were like,
Me and
And
Camille
they were
listened
just
to it the
surrounded
whole
by
way home, like 5 to 6 times.
on repeat.
I actually didn't know Rod Wave song was in there until we stayed longer. I didn't know there was an after credit scene until I went with y'all.
Are you
I didn't know
serious?
his movie. I mean, his song was at the end until like I watched it with y'all with like all 10 of us. Whenever I went with y'all, I didn't know it was at the end. But I'm like, he made a song for it, so I was
Where's it
wondering. I
at?
thought it was
You
gonna
looking for it?
play throughout the movie, and then it didn't.
It
I'm
just
like,
does it so much justice at the end.
It does.
does.
It's
It's
perfect.
like, yeah, it's so nice.
So what song did you like?
The very last one, not the Rod Wave one, the one before that, where he's like, "So I'll live like."
Oh
that
yeah,
one.
that I like
I
that song
love
too.
that one.
It's so pretty.
When him and her like mesh together, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is
so
good.
good.
That harmony.
It's so uplifting and
What do
like
y'all
kind
think
of
about
scary.
that first credit scene, where like he's old and sitting in the bar?
Oh, actually, I wrote something down about that because I feel like I don't feel like obviously it wasn't a good ending at all, but I feel like it was kind of eerie because even though like I don't feel like the vampires are the devil, I feel like they're just like supposed to be like an example, an extension of it. The devil in the sense still came back for him. Like even though he like left and it was like kind of like a like full circle moment for the movie, the devil still came knocking on his door for a second time. So when he walked away from the church and went to go pursue his music career, he still wasn't safe.
Right.
Clearly, they could walk up on him at any point in time.
Right.
So he walked out of safety and protection. That was just the choice he decided to make, and I thought that was
Kind of scary.
interesting.
And it
kinda
seems like
made
he
a
sold
deal with
out
the
too.
devil.
Like he
Yeah,
stopped
yeah.
making the real blues and moved into the electric stuff. Like he sold us. It seemed like he maybe escaped the vampires, but he sold his soul to the music industry. Like he had a real gift for playing and singing, but he.
Yeah, and I think some of it is like even how Rod Wave's song at the end is talking about everyone's just kind of looking for freedom, right? And people seek for it in different ways. Some people think their freedom is in sin.
Yep.
Oh, I'm gonna get drunk with my friends, and that's my freedom. And it's in a time in history when freedom is a very important thing, and it's a very talked about thing. And so I think like all of that together is just very heavy. Like, what is freedom?
That's
And
the
where
question of
is
the movie.
freedom?
And that's what they talk about in that last scene. When Stack comes back, they talk about, he says that he has nightmares about once a week. But he said that day for a few hours before the
Was
night
the
came
best
on.
It was the
day.
best night of his life.
And
of
Stack
his life.
says, because we were all free.
Yeah, it was the best day and the worst day.
Yeah.
For both of them.
And
what
like
does that
where
mean? Like,
where
why
is
were they
freedom?
free?
Yeah.
Because it was
that's
was it
something I
for
haven't
real
think-
free? Because
do you
it
think-
led to their.
Do you think it was when he was playing his music, Sammy? Like for those few minutes right there when everyone was dancing?
Yeah. You know what? I think you're right. That's something I haven't worked through yet. But I don't think it was the fact that
Maybe they were transported into the future of freedom.
I don't know where freedom was.
Or ancient, of them being in their ancient like lands of freedom. I don't. I'm speaking.
no, you're good because I don't agree that sin. I mean, the movie's called Sinners, and everybody comes together that night to sin. No, I mean they're drinking, they're smoking, they're both Perlene and Haley. Not
They're
Haley.
both
Mary are
Married,
both
yeah.
married, and they're in there playing around. Like it's not. Nobody's in there doing right.
There can't
I don't
be
think that's what
freedom
they're talking.
there.
The freedom is, but
But
maybe
they're all coexisting together. Like being in a group, like being surrounded by like your people, like in a room full of black. Like even when I went to DreamCon, like being in a room full of black people, just doing and being as you please, and like just like feeding off of each other, that it feels like a sense of freedom now. So
So maybe it's a false sense of freedom where they were seeking for true freedom. They only found like a false sense of it.
temporary, something.
Temporary.
Yeah.
Yeah, because remember how the old man would drink so bad because of the trauma he had from when he was young. Yeah, from when he was
everyone kind
younger,
of had their own
and he
resort,
knew
too.
everyone on the slave block. Like those were his people. Like, and he remember him just
he would
moaning. Right?
sing blues to not
Yeah.
cry.
Yeah.
I
And
love that moment. That's one of my favorite moments in the movie.
He goes,
He's telling the story and he almost starts crying, but instead he turns it into a song. Oh, I love that.
That's
And
just, it's so cool how we can turn our pain into art though,
Yes,
like that. Like that showed that so
yes.
well.
And that's what African Americans have done. It's a beautiful
I
thing.
think in the what do they call it, the juke joint, I think everyone was in their area or their
They were operating in
they
their
were-
gifting. That's why.
okay, but they were
all
doing it
operating
in a
but
system
they were doing it to
on
cope
in a
with
bad
their
place.
life outside of that. Like this,
they
like,
clearly didn't wanna
all
be
the
married.
women weren't.
They were all running away. Those
Them women clearly didn't want to be married.
They were all in a space
Yeah.
of escape.
Cornbread was
And
tired
that
of being
is
in
a
the
feeling
field.
of
Yep.
freedom.
Yeah.
He was
Delta
tired
Slim
of being in
was tired of-
church.
Yep.
Both the girls weren't happy with their marriages.
Yep.
Yeah,
Slim was
The
just tired
boys
in
were
general.
running from
Yeah.
Chicago.
Like they were all
They were
running
running.
away
Shout
from
out to Slim.
outside pressure and
I love
outside.
Slim.
I love
The
Slim
way
too.
that moment where he's like, "Well, if the devil's gonna get to you all, he's gonna get through me first."
Yeah.
And he cut himself, and he's like, "Come on,
He
vampires."
sacrificed himself.
I went to
Such
see
a
it. I mean, Sanaya was next to me. She was like, I don't see the point in that. She was like, why did he just do that? like when he like cut his arm and stuff.
Oh, because
like,
they're
and, like,
attracted by the blood.
Yeah, and like it was self-sacrificial, but she felt like they still got them. So she was like
he was
committed
trying to delay them.
yeah.
So and Sammy, Sammy in the end did get away. So it feels like it wasn't a waste, even though he didn't delay him enough.
The only other part that I was like really confused about is because like they all went there to sin, right? 2 of them survived, and I was trying to figure out like why.
Except really only one.
Yeah, but like
Technically,
why did Slim like kind of get rewarded? Like he got to just
Smoke? You mean?
No, the one in the blue.
Smoke.
Whoever lived, yeah.
You said why what?
Like it felt like he got rewarded. Like everyone else turned into vampires, but he got to be free and go be with his family.
Stack got to be with the love of his life
Yeah,
forever.
I feel like it was like double sided. I feel like there's like a like darkness and sadness to it, but I feel like even when you're operating in sin, I feel like God still has grace on us. You know, I don't know. I feel like that. So like it was kind of a sad way to go out, but hey, maybe he's been through a lot. Okay, maybe he was just like, you know what, brother.
I mean, everyone in there
I was
Has
just
been
like,
through a lot.
Yeah,
Everybody.
and I was just wondering like why him? Like why did he get
Haley, not Haley. I keep calling her Haley. Mary's mom had just died. Not only was she unhappy in her marriage, her
Yeah, and
mom
the
had just died.
vampires were like, hey, I can help you out of your trouble.
Then fellowship and love.
Can we
And he
talk
lost
about
the
how
baby.
sin is always so pretty and attractive, and how
Yeah.
they know how to take the message, the right message of unity, and like
Twist it.
twist
yeah.
it
Warp
to
it.
trick you? But Camille, I want to go back to what you were saying just now about freedom. I think everyone felt free because they were operating in their gifting. Now, it was inside of a bad system, right? They're in a bad place for bad reasons. But they wanted, what they wanted wasn't wrong. They wanted an escape from their pain and trouble, which is just human. And they wanted to be who they were
And I
called
think they
to
started
be.
off right. Like, obviously, they came there to sin, but they also came there inside of their gifting. So they
Right.
came to do what they do, but in that and in their attempt to escape, it made them go further. Sin will
Right.
always take you further.
Then you
know,
want
you
to
wanna
go. Yeah.
I feel like it was
Yeah,
the fact that they were
definitely.
trying to run. I feel like when you have like trauma and you have mistakes and you have like things that you need to work on, running is always going to make things worse than it has to be, and it's always going to like extend
dealing
the
with it.
process of dealing. I feel like if they turned around, like if Haley dealt with the grief of her mom, if Smoke and Stack dealt with their past, if everybody like turned and dealt with the problems they had, then there would be no running and they wouldn't ran to that situation.
Wouldn't have been there.
I feel like
Well,
running
the
is what
juke
does
joint
it.
was a result of running.
Yeah, I feel like running is what does it.
Like someone said
They
before,
were
it was
running
the
from
foundation.
Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they had the juke joint. And then everybody else ran.
I feel like running from your sin instead of confronting it and just owning who you are and trying to move from there is what. Yeah, I feel like that's what creates the problem.
And then Smoke and Stack have their own individual, like, they bring people together. But inside of that, Stack is the one who's like, he's merciful. He makes room for people. You know, he's like, he makes provision. They don't have enough money. Oh, brother, it's all right. You're welcome here still. And Smoke's like the, responsible one. Hey, we got to get this business in order because we got to keep our, like, everybody's gifting could have worked together so beautifully.
I feel like that's how we are now too. Like,
Yeah.
like I feel like all of us, we all talk about like, oh, if we were just to come together, we could just, if we were just to come, because we all recognize that we have this piece and we have this piece, and if we just, like, I feel like we talk about that now. Like, if our community could just like take all our pieces and mash them together, we'd be unstoppable. But do we? Or when we do, it always turns into the wrong situation. It turns into modern day juke joints, like clubs and stuff. Like we go about it the wrong way.
Inside of the wrong
That's
system.
because the foundation is off. If you have the right foundation, it'll work.
Man, the Ku Klux Klan foundation. That's why it didn't work. Our foundation.
Like you
we
just
have
can't
so much
build
history.
on top of a slaughterhouse. You really can't. And I think maybe that's like, I mean, some of that I don't know if he may be laying judgment on America. Like, nah, America's got to fix what it did.
Like, you can't build
just
on that.
build
Yeah.
on top of a slaughterhouse.
And
That's got to go.
That's good, Peyton.
Good.
That's good. Like, you can't just be like, well, okay, well, slavery's
We'll buy
over.
it.
We're gonna, it's good now.
Because remember,
it's
he reached
fine.
on the floor and he saw some blood and he's like, what's this?
Yeah.
And then he decided to ignore it.
And then he was like, here's the money.
Instead of, you gotta start over.
You know how everybody's like, oh, we need our reparations, we need our money. So like Smoke and Stack got their money and then still squandered it, wasted it, and
Yeah.
died.
They got it.
Because I know like Brother Staff has talked about, he's like, if we got our reparations, he was like, we don't really need them. Because he's like, most of us would get those reparations and then just operate in the same like patterns and
Fashion.
and system that
That
have
we've
been
been
doing.
taught to operate in.
So like, what's the point of the money?
Yeah.
We'd probably give it right back.
And that's what
We'd
they
use
did.
it in their system. That's what they used their money for. They gave it to the Klansmen.
That's exactly what they
They
did.
literally gave their money right
To
back to the
the Klan.
Klansmen.
They
And
gave
that's
it
why-
to the Klan. They said, "Oh, there's
we'll
no
give it back."
Klan. There hasn't been a Klan."
That's crazy.
There's just a lot.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
when you get out, like when you get a bunch of money, you got some black people that get it to, like they got it to get, like even though it was like the way they got it was a little bit iffy, but like they got it, they had something, like what they could have done with that, and then they just gave it straight back and built something on a
Because we
foundation
don't
that's
have
not
a
able to
community
stand.
built on a good foundation right now that we could give our money to. Like we do. We have little things here and there, but
Little
nothing.
pockets.
Not like a city set on a hill. You know what I mean? Like something that everyone knows. Okay, this is what I'm giving my money towards. This is the cause I want to do it. So,
Well, before you have a city, you have to have a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a leader, you can give them the reparations, and they'll make sure, if that leader's the right kind of leader, they'll make sure everybody gets what they need. The community is fed.
And to make sure it flows the right way. Some people know how to make it flow and some people don't.
Even down to like when Stack came in, like on the very last after, like the very first after credit scene, and he came and he had those rings that said Stack. Like that
And all the
reminded
money.
me of like how like we wear chains now and we wear like these big rings and stuff, and people were like some people feel like that's a connection to like how we used to wear chains like as slaves and stuff. But it's just so interesting how we try to take like how we take our money to use these like outward displays of, oh, we're free now and this is what our freedom looks like. Like Arby though, because we're still playing into a system that we give our money to things that like to my opinion don't matter. Like we're getting these big, like rappers get these big chains and these big rings and stuff to prove that they're somebody now and to prove that they're not held by the shackles of society. But at the same time, why give your money to that? Why use the platform that you have and influence people to feel like that's what you're supposed to do?
the money is helping perpetuate it. That,
Yeah.
Again, it's a cycle.
Yeah. You're giving the money right back to the same
It
people
is
that...
very cyclical. The trauma just came right back in their pockets. But I mean, well, they all died at the end.
And really,
but-
they all were working. Like they were all in those fields still picking cotton, working, and then that money that they got, they used it at the juke joint.
yeah.
Now Lisa don't got parents.
Man, Lil Lisa.
Now Cornbread family don't got a daddy. Like they,
I know. See, that's what I was thinking about afterwards, and I was like, oh, the community lost Annie. The community lost their healer.
yes, because she would take the money and allow them.
She took
yeah.
that fake money
With
and
the
would
kids.
send them
Yeah.
birds home. Cornbread,
They lost a
they
healer.
lost their
They
dad. She
lost
was
a father.
expecting, right?
The singing devils.
I wonder, like, it's crazy. Like,
Pick more
would they have
Robin
even known
Queen.
that? What? What'd you say?
I'm just thinking, pick more Robin
Oh my
Queen.
gosh.
Listen,
That song.
I went back and listened to Rocky Road to Dublin. Because, no, listen, my husband has spent a lot of time in Ireland, and he's like, why'd they have to use that song? I like that song. I went back and listened. The words are actually nice. There is no reason that song terrifies me out of my mind. Not the words are nice, but they're a typical Irish bar song. Like, there's no reason for it to be scary. Scares me to death.
I'm gonna go
Scares me to death.
Bro, it scared me. So I was like, they were all dancing in a circle to like on the road
Did
to
she
Dublin.
cornbread, like, on the road to
doing,
Dublin?
Like, Irish shit.
I was like,
Like, what does the Irish people represent in this movie, though?
No, when we took Sister Kennedy, she was like briefly breaking things down because I didn't even know like
Okay,
apparently
she's,
the
like, into
vampire.
horror,
Yes,
hardcore.
and so I was glad we took her. And she was like, I like how accurate they were. That the vampires have like an Irish background breakdown. Girl, I didn't know none of that. All I knew was that they did.
they
Like,
kind of come from that lore.
Literally, that's all
I
I
guess
knew
Ryan
that they
Coogler,
did.
well, he's really interested in music, and he really likes Irish folk music.
So why do you make it vampire music?
Well, because vampires come from, like, in lore or in legend, they come from...
yeah, I think there's just like they built like there's a background of vampires and Irish like lore connected. Who did it and why? I don't know, but that's like a thing.
Samantha, why'd you watch it 4 times?
'Cause
4.5.
four and
4.5 times.
yeah.
Why'd you watch it 4.5
It was
times?
so bootleg. We got
Oh yeah,
nothing.
guys, we watched it on a bootleg.
Why are
baby.
y'all admitting that?
Because I'm not ashamed. It's part of our history. Now y'all done got bootleg CDs before. Okay, we grew up on
Hey,
bootleg
facts. I
CDs.
grew up on bootleg CDs,
We grew up on
bro.
bootleg. It's real, and not everybody's going to the movie theater. You know what? I respect it. Do what you gotta do. Okay.
And hey, we did
Well,
go, so we saw it at the
Yeah,
theater.
we seen it
Twice.
we seen it
In the
twice.
theater.
Twice, 3 times, 4 times.
That's the first
before
time
we tried bootleg.
Yeah.
I've ever went and watched a movie so many times in theaters. I've never been
Samantha,
more than
no.
once.
Samantha,
The second
I wanna
time does
know,
not
like,
matter.
why?
Does not count because
She fell
you
asleep.
slept
She fell
the whole
asleep.
time. You
I'm
went
pretty
there
sure
to
I
sleep.
fell asleep.
You went there for the
I look
Three
over.
times.
I look over.
Wait.
This Samantha.
With
Was I really like that?
She brings her blanket.
Yeah, she.
When I sit down for too long, I go to sleep.
And she wasn't
It's
gonna
just-
go. Y'all remember she wasn't
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
go. She
I
decided
wasn't.
last minute that she was gonna go to sleep.
I'm really trying to find
Yeah,
out why you watched
good
it that
that-
many times, though, Samantha. Like, what about the movie
Well,
got to you?
I just liked it, but I
Why?
did fall asleep a bunch of times.
You
So the first time when I watched it with you and your parents, I watched it all the way through, and then I watched it on my phone, and I watched that one all the way through.
Why'd you like
And
it so
then-
much?
I don't know. I feel like the story behind like everything does relate a lot to like trying to be a Christian and stuff. Like certain things you just shouldn't do or shouldn't get into, and definitely you have to invite the spirits in. So like whenever you start doing these things, and it's like sometimes when you do stuff you're not supposed to, you just sit down and be like, dang, like why? Like it doesn't just like happen, you know?
Right.
Like there's certain things
There's a
that
journey
you
to
like
get there.
yeah.
Choices. You make
Yeah,
choices.
definitely choices. So I think I like the black culture and stuff around it, but I think the movie as a whole definitely like tells me things I need to do different as a person too. So
Ways you can be more careful.
yeah,
It's like if they hadn't been playing around that juke joint, those spirits would have never come.
And it's so hard to
Yeah.
survive
So, like-
the vampires. It really is so hard to survive them. And if we're going to make it to heaven, it's going to be so hard to survive.
Like we're gonna make it by the skin of our teeth.
Like,
Yeah.
the
Isn't
amount
that
of...
what it says? Does
It
it say,
says
does the
there's
Bible
a
say that?
thin-
Like,
It says-
oh,
it
like
says-
the violent take it by force or
It
something.
then talks about straight is the gate and narrow is the way and few there be that find it.
Yeah.
Is what the scripture says. Like when we make there, we are surrounded. We are constantly under attack from so many spirits. Be it on the billboard, social media,
And it
on
could
the
be
screen,
your own
at
people
work.
that are right next, you know? It could be your own self that's
literally can
Trying
be
to
your
get
own
you.
self.
And if we're going to defeat all those spirits, it's gonna
We
be
gotta do it together.
barely.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own little agenda.
That's what me and
Everyone-
Camille thought the second time we saw it. We're like, we want to go to heaven.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of vampires. And they're going to get us. We went home. We're like, how are we going to make it to heaven? We were stressed.
We're feeling bad for ourselves.
It is like
It just
that.
really
it's a
is
fight.
hard.
And
No,
if you
it
don't, and you know what?
definitely
If you don't think of it as a fight, you'll lose out. Like if you think you're just gonna coast into heaven, you're gonna
not.
skip, you're gonna glide, you're gonna appear there one day. It's gonna be a battle the whole way there. And yeah, you're right, Camille. Doing it together is the only way you'll, because you can't watch your own
can't
back.
watch
You can't
your back
watch your
the
own
whole
back.
time.
You don't know what's even. You might be fighting something right in front of you. You don't know what's working on you right there the whole time. You need your brother. You need your pastor to be like, hey, watch out.
You know that was like a line in the movie
what?
where they was like he doesn't know how to watch his own back when they were about to
Oh, yeah, the
split
twins.
split
Go
up.
with him.
Yeah.
They split him and said,
That's
go with him.
true.
He don't know how to watch his own back.
Interesting.
That's
true.
Yeah.
And when they were fighting the vampires, they were kind of trying to do that for each other. Like
Yeah.
there were several scenes where someone's about to attack someone else from the back, and they came in and
See, it's too much.
Yeah, it
it's too
is.
much. We're gonna never stop. Thank y'all so much for coming back and talking about it.
Thanks for having us.
Well, side note, Anaya went to DreamCon with her best friend, and they were dressed up as Smoke and Stack, and they got a lot of attention and views. And they got a little carried away, if I do say so myself, on some of their videos, but we'll leave that alone.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, guys.
Thank y'all so much for coming. We love hanging out with y'all every time.
Yeah. Same.
And
for having
Sinners, I
us.
could watch that with y'all again, for real.
Yeah, facts. Me too.
I feel like it's gonna be one of those movies that, like, down the line, you're like us as parents gonna be like,
Oh, we're gonna show her.
oh, you're back
absolutely.
here.
Yeah.
Oh, you haven't watched it. Oh, you're not black. You haven't seen. Yeah, you're not black. You haven't seen. It's gonna be one of those.
Yeah, it's going on.
They don't know nothing about no sinners.
Michael B. Jordan.
Don't talk about Michael B. Jordan.
Yes, it's gonna be one of those.
Ryan Coogler.
That's gonna be
I
good.
love
That's
it.
gonna be good.
It
No,
is.
that
It
is.
is. It's a classic. It's already a classic.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
is.
Has it did that? That's crazy that the movie's already like popped off that fast.
It has. Well, thank you all, everybody who watched. We enjoyed the movie.
Especially if you stayed to the end.
Yeah. And you know what? If you can handle it, I recommend you watching it because I think it makes you think, and that's good for everybody. Spoiler alert, which we should have done at the beginning.
We'll just put it on the
Put it in the thumbnail or something because we talked about everything. But anyway, thank you for watching. Y'all know what time it is. Peace, love, and hair grease.